Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Lilly Wong is the creator of the Lilithgram, Horusgram, the LL Soul Travel Agency, and the LL Soul Care Center. She's supported hundreds of visionaries around the world in living their divine purpose and creating authentic living. She helps them maximize a change in consciousness and their impact in the world by being the best next generation of their I self. In her early 30s, she appeared to have it all, a love marriage and a well-done career. Yet a panic attack woke her up to realizing something profound was missing from her life, her own true self, her I self. So she left it all behind to start her personal soul travel and rediscover her unique divine expression. Now, as a universal being, she downloads groundbreaking tools, the LL Soul Care packages that allow your own soul travel to be revealing, adventurous, and safe. She's having fun on stage with other great leaders such as Lee Carroll, Ingrid Ahr, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Peggy Dubrow, and her partner Robert Haig Coxon. She loves traveling the world, soul moving, being a catalyst for evolution, and ambassador of light language. Now let's welcome Lilly to the show. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show, where we co-create powerful, conscious conversations on the leading edge. Today I have Lilly joining me, and we're going to be talking about the divine, the sacred divine, masculine and feminine. And what's really cool is we're going to be talking also about light language and using light language to tap in and remember our truest selves. So welcome, Lilly.
Thank you. I'm very excited and very honored to be here.
Yes. So just to give the audience a heads up of what we realized when we got started, I've said this on the show before, but it always is good to say. When we're dealing with high frequencies and technology, it doesn't necessarily go hand in hand. And and with light language, one of the things, one of the qualities is that we're moving and using our hands. And so what you may notice is that during periods of this broadcast, you might notice some disruptions or some lag in voice and movement. So don't be alarmed. Everything is cool. It's just that we're really tapping into some high vibrational frequencies. So
Very well said. Very well said.
Yes, so without further ado, let's dive in and open this up because, light language is something that really, really excites me. I think because to me, it's still feels a little mystical. It's something I really feel like it's something I would be able to do, but it's on the edge of what I really feel like I can say, yes, I can do this. So I would love to start there because I'm sure that not just with light language, but other maybe psychic abilities or intuitive abilities, we have this idea that, there is like a certain level that we have to accomplish, or it has to be done a certain way. So I would love to start there with kind of what is light language and maybe demystify it a bit so we can all feel like we can really tap into this energy. Yeah.
Yes. So the first thing I can say, because this is a very, like everybody is like, aha, it's like it gets a bit of the aha. Is first of all, is if you imagine all the sacred language we know, for example, Sanskrit or Quechua, or, there are so many, ancient Egypt, ancient Hebrew, the old Hebrew, they all have a root. So it's like if you even follow like evolution of language, is where Spanish come from Latin, Latin comes from like that. So if you just go into that, following that evolution, you're going to see that where are all these sacred languages coming from? This is where light language come. You know, this is our mind love to know evolution, right? A little bit of history. Where is this coming from? And the beauty is that it's very conceptual. And the other thing that I say about light language is I make the analogy with the internet. Not that we were talking about technology.
Yeah.
And with a wonderful tool, which is the internet, which is the www, the World Wide Web, we use links to get information. We use questions to get information. So in terms of the universe, I say light language support us, serve us to be able to reach the UWW, the Universal Wide Web. And as you say before, we might not, there's just where we don't need any cables anymore, right? We just can tap into that information and be sure. But of course, we need to work with a lot of consciousness, because as an internet, if you just sit there in front, nothing is just going to pop up, right?
Right.
So you have to see which are, because now you're tapping, if you think the World Wide Web is big and you can find a lot, imagine when you tap into Universal Wide Web, right? There's so much information. So it's like, what is your consciousness? It's like, which consciousness I'm going to communicate, and what's going to be the intention of it? And therefore, as you say, oh, and then light language, it helps us to get that connection, and it's very fast. And the thing is, it's not so limiting as our language as we know it right now. Sure. Because with one intention, whenever I have one intention, or the subconscious wants to communicate an intention, it goes all over. It scans what is the best for you. So this is the information that you're going to become. And what is the best for her? What is the best for me? What is the best? So everybody gets from that intention the best in the moment you are at this point. And the way I connect, it's a very angelic way. Therefore, there's always angelic, because some of them say they know about light language. It's like, but why is a certain softness there? For me, it's a container. So whenever it's like my hardware is angelic. so whenever I connect with the universe through the light language and ask for information, all the information come in this beautiful container, which is very angelic. And therefore the information come. And this is the way I share it. And the beauty of it is that you can tap into the different consciousness of the universe, and you'll see then it becomes, as there are different qualities, even though they all are part of the whole, they do have different qualities. And you will see, for example, my voice, the tone will change, the waves, you can see, like if you can see the waves, they're very, very different. If it's a consciousness of angels, if it's a consciousness of Pleiadians, if a consciousness of fairies, those are extremely funny. So for me, it's also even my here, you know, it's like it starts like tickling different all the time. And then the movement too. You know, it's like sometimes it's also the consciousness of animals, and it's really very different how my body starts to move towards it. So I must say I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I bet. And that's the thing. That's why I think it excites me so much, is I want to really feel like I can do it. And so you talk about how light language manifests. You talk about like 3 different ways. So can we talk about that?
Yes. So in my case, it's at some point is like the merging of myself, and for me, one of them, I see it as I see a lot of my stuff. It's always come in a triad, you know, a 3, or in 12 plus 1, which is 13. That repeats in everything, I share in everything I connect. That's something that repeats. And in this case, it's again in one of the forms of the light language being manifested a bit more here on Earth, right? And it's through sound, which for me it's kind of the frequency how you get into it. Then I have the manifestation in form and color, which that would be what I call sacred codes. So this is it really gets into. Let me show you here, one here. Like it gets really into how I put this energy here, so we can have it easy for us to access that information, that vibrational information. And then I have the third one, which I would say that's definitely the most etherical one, because it's, I call them soul movements. Mm-hmm. So what happens there is that the light language comes through my body, and all this part, they become like a laser, but it's a body laser. So when I do that, for example, in big stages, I start connecting very strongly with Gaia, and then see which consciousness want to help to cleanse some energies or just harmonize something. And it's a lot of movement. So the same intention and information can be manifest in the three ways. And of course, if you put all the three together, then you create a pyramid effect again. So which is very, and then if you create it up, it's down, so it creates a very nice spiral. Again, I'm having a lot of fun.
Yes. Okay, so when you first started channeling light language, you say that you can tap into the animal kingdom, fairies, Pleiadians. Okay, so how did you get to the place where, one, you knew who you were talking to, and two, that it wasn't just something you were making up? Like, I mean, I could move my hands around and sing, but I couldn't tell. I wouldn't be like, oh, that's light language,
I see. Well, a lot of people, when they see me finally, I say, now I know what I'm doing. And now I know it's real. Oh. It's just part of that's what I say. I'm an ambassador of that light language. When people say, oh, so I'm not doing whatever, I'm doing something, and it's a confirmation. That's the one thing. I think a lot of these things happen a lot for confirmation, but it's a very beautiful question what you have, because let's see, everything is, the more training you get, it means the more I do it, the more trust in the universe I found myself I can do. But one thing that I do, and this was something that we could also experiment a little bit more in the next half an hour, is I have allowed myself to experience all different emotions of our humanness in my body. And you're going to see that, for example, anger, I was confusing anger with frustration and vice versa. When there's some emotion that it's in anger, react different than when it's frustration or joy with satisfaction. It's like there's so many polarities of emotions. So what I've been doing is really tap into, first of all, not just one emotion separately and without judgment, or like this is here. Like, for example, joy and anger. How do I experience separately? But how do I experience when they are together and balance them out? So I see them all in different. And what I've been doing a lot is, again, I've been doing this with 13 polarities. But I know from there, whatever other emotion I can put it in. Oh, this belongs to this. This belongs to this. So I've been using light language to harmonize, help me balancing out all these emotions. But what happens is, whenever another consciousness comes, my body feels different. So, but if I do not have, I call it the mastering of emotions. If I don't have that mastering of emotion, I will get confused, because how do I know what is my emotion, what is real, what is not real, if I haven't trained first my humanness? I call it's like our body, how my body, and first of all, it's like how I also concentrate in my body. How is my body strong, grounded, rooted. In our cases as women, how has been my relationship with my menstrual cycle? Because for me, bodies sustain emotions, and emotions sustain thoughts. And when you have that package in mastering the three, which is how we are experienced as humans here right now, then you can tap in different consciousness. Mm-hmm. But a lot of what we do is we try to tap in other consciousness without having that before. Right?
Yes. Well, and as you're talking, what was coming to mind for me is those of us that are very sensitive or empathic, same thing. Really, you have to understand yourself and your own feelings and sensations and emotions and feelings before you can really understand, what's yours, what's someone else's, and
Absolutely.
how to transmute that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this was for me the beginning a lot. So that's something that I was doing parallel of. A lot of people ask me, how did you contact the angels? I said, the angels contact me. Yeah. So they start appearing. They all really start appearing, but I really took the time. I call it to do self-refinement. Mm-hmm. So I went very much deep. And the more self-refining I get, the more consciousness approach. But I see it also because then I can differentiate what is what, because I know what the emotions, what are my thoughts, and what is there. So that gives you very fast quality, what is real or not. Yes. What is yours, what is not yours. And then I start asking questions, all these new experiences that I was remembering. And in exchange, you say, okay, we talk and we give you a lot of information of what you want to remember. And in exchange, you give messages. So this is how I start. At that time, I will call it more channeling, because it was really like, I have a message too. So while I was doing all the self-refinement in the different emotions, thoughts, and so on, there were different kind of consciousness coming to give messages through me. Mm-hmm. Right? So this was one step. But again, the more self-refinement I will go, the more I change. I used to say inner work, but now I call it self-refinement. I like that much better. And this is how, at some point, I start having what I call a cosmic team. So it's okay, what's the next step? And just to see that way, I was working with a group of goddesses and then another. And suddenly, the three groups I was working with, they gave me a different task, just to put it that way. Mm-hmm. One was when first. Another thing that I recommend answering your question at the same time is I have a mediator, and I did it from the beginning. So for me, it's Archangel Michael. So the first time,
like a go-between, so like your primary contact person or entity or spirit.
So at the beginning, I will do almost everything for me. Now I don't, but when, for example, the Pleiadians for the first time arrive, and it's like, it's like, this is a new energy, and I will like, what do you think? And if go like this, I must say 90% has he gone like this. I have a 10% of experience where he go like this, and it's like, bye-bye, But it's good to have it. I recommend a lot of intuitive people, a lot of people that see us, like, have that, because it's, again, a good confirmation that something is real or not. And there's a relationship you built, like in my case with Michael, and now also Gabriel, that I know they're gonna say, hey, this is not real. Mm-hmm. Because it's so strong in the relationship. I really know what it feels having Michael and Gabriel, because they've been for so long. So this is a relationship you can build, which I also recommend. That's something that gives you, yes, you're doing light language, and it's okay. It's like, you might not understand right now, doesn't matter, you are doing it, So have a mediator. For me, it's been very important. And this is how the Pleiadians arrive. And another of the tips answering the question is, I always tell them, look, just for me, for Lily, the human Lily, please give me a name. I need a name from everybody that comes. They give me a name, because that's the way I can talk to you, and I feel the Lily human can talk to you. It's like they don't have names and we are one. Yes, but the human Lily will love if you can give me a name. And this Pleiadian entity, like being say, well, get something to write, because you're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
So here goes, Lily goes there, bring her paper, and this is how I did my first sacred code. In parallel, this other group said, try something. It's like, now that you have that, is that what he gives? Try just to say, and so they start giving me other things. Allow us just to say things through you. Like the same way you do it with the message, allow us the same thing. So I start doing it. It's like, oh, and I could feel the different vibration. I say, this is how I did the first sacred sounds. And at the same time, the goddesses I was working with say, the same thing you're doing right now with these messages and channeling, allow us to move your whole body. And this is how the soul movement starts. I start doing all that, and at some point I realized, oh, they all belong together. That's the same thing. And then it would say, okay, how shall I call this? And they say light language. And then I see that, of course, there have been others also with the same. You say, oh, light language, I love it. And this is how I start integrating. And the more I integrate it now, for me, it's also an evolution of a planetary evolution and a self-evolution of ourselves. Is now I feel that I'm manifesting it. I'm co-creating with that. So I start with the channeling, where you just allow the energies. And now what happens is I merge with the energies so I can manifest them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So I'm curious if you can share with us a little example of, because there is a light language for the divine masculine, and there is also a light language for the divine feminine. So I would be curious if you could give us a little sense of what each of those sounds and feels like, looks like.
Yeah. Yes. So the first is Ulenia Moneia. This is remember your sacred feminine. Karni Mayati Sae. Amako se Nayaninae. Akiashi Nayasinae. Feel the nurturing. Feel embrace. Feel your balance, your alignment. Feel grounded. And then we connect with Unimaneo. 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 Namaya Sinao. Remember the sacred masculine. Now Sasaeo. Surrender. Tap into your inner wisdom, your inner power, and express your unique self.
Beautiful. That's just so incredible. I mean, it just is like, wow. And it's not something that we have to understand. It resonates at a soul level. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's something that it's gonna activate. And the activation, someone was asking me, so exactly what's an activation? I said, for me, activations is cleanse, whatever it needs to be cleansed and harmonized on old memories, but also activation is allowing new energies to be integrated and emerge from you. So it's the same thing, all that. And the beauty of both is that they're very complementary. And I also understood from my own evolution and remembering path is, first of all, I integrate that sacred feminine. So I understand, it's like, oh, emotions, right? It's like that for me was like a big one. Oh, menstrual cycle. And then I noticed, oh, I feel more grounded. Like you're saying, more nurtured. I'm like in balance. And then what I always ask, what is next? I mean, I can keep in the self-refinement in here, but what is next? And what I discovered was that I've been using before the masculine energy, but not the sacred masculine, which is very different. Sure. And then what I discover is, oh, this is also so sweet, but so powerful. But if I don't have the groundness, the nurturing, the balancing, it's very hard to tap into the integrate the sacred masculine, which for me said it was a bit like seeing it instead of controlling the surrender. Instead of competing, it's the unique self. Mm-hmm. Instead of just knowledge, come the wisdom. Instead of achievement, it comes the inner power. And he was like, oh, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, what the world would be like if we could all come from the sacred masculine and feminine. I mean, wow. Yes. I mean, I can't even speak it because it just like would be so powerful. But wow. So this, I think, is the perfect place to transition into our second part of the conversation. So for now, I would love to thank you for joining me, and such a powerful and beautiful experience just in these short moments of you sharing the light language. So thank you for that. And so we're going to continue this conversation for members. But for those that might want to connect with you, you have something coming up that they can join in on. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, there is, well, I'm organizing the to be able to deepen into the sacred feminine. So it's so we can deepen in where we were talking about the mastering of emotions, mastering of your body, which is lead you to mastering of thoughts, which is lead you to your whole empowerment. Mm-hmm. But these three things for me is like, let's don't jump it. Sometimes we just kind of forget them. It's like, oh, no, I'll deal with that later. Let me go for the much fun part. But the fun part comes as a result. Yes. You know, when you have this, you have. So this is going to be a lot about Ulenia Moneya. And we'll be sharing more soon.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Lilly. This, like I said, this was a very powerful, beautiful conversation, and I can feel that very small bit of light language. I can feel that opening my heart chakra. So thank you for that, and I look forward to diving in deeper and experiencing more with our members. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.